The tattoo is deeply significant. It's a symbol or name connected to a personal tragedy in the judge's past, making the moment emotionally charged and unexpected. Asterisk in the story. The tattoo on Elena's shoulder isn't just body art or a casual symbol. It holds a direct emotional link to Judge Clark's past, specifically to the memory of his deceased daughter, Lena Grace Clark. Years ago, Judge Clark lost his daughter in a hit-and-run accident that was never solved. The pain of that loss had never left him. Over time, he buried himself in work, building a reputation for being cold, efficient, and detached from the emotional lives of those who appeared before him in court. To the world, he was a man of the law, rigid and impartial. But inside, that loss had carved a hollow space he could never quite fill. Asterisk on the day of Elena's trial, when she was asked to remove her jacket, what was supposed to be a routine request turned into something extraordinary. When she complied, the tattoo came into view. Judge Clark immediately recognized the name inked beneath the pair of angel wings, Lena Grace Clark. Seeing it was like being struck by lightning. He had not heard or seen his daughter's name in over a decade. Time had dulled the sharpest edges of the grief, but nothing had ever truly healed it. In that moment, the tattoo pierced through every barrier he had built to keep his emotions locked away. Asterisk, the tattoo's design was intimate, not generic. It wasn't just a name, it was a memorial. The wings, the birth and death dates, the care, in the frontal of it, screamed personal connection. That detail is what caused the judge to freeze. If it had been a random mention or something more abstract, he might have dismissed it. But this was deliberate, crafted with love and pain. The presence of his daughter's name on this woman's body wasn't a coincidence. It was a message, a link. Asterisk, what deepened the shock was that the judge had no idea who Elena was. To him, she was just another defendant on the docket, accused of a petty crime. But suddenly, she became a living reminder of his past. The tattoo wasn't just a reminder of his daughter's death. It was a signal that the past wasn't as buried as he believed. Someone else had carried a piece of his grief, had honored Lena's memory in ink. That wasn't something strangers did. Asterisk, this is where the emotional complexity begins. The tattoo immediately shifts the courtroom from a place of law to a stage for personal reckoning. For Judge Clark, his rigid role as an arbiter of justice collides violently with his human side, the grieving father who never found peace. And that conflict plays out silently, wordlessly. In the few seconds after he sees the tattoo, he freezes not because of disbelief, but because the tattoo breaks down the walls he has spent years building. Asterisk, the power of the tattoo lies in its ability to disrupt a world governed by procedure and rules. Judge Clark's courtroom is usually a place of order. Every action follows protocol. But this moment, triggered by a name etched in ink, destabilizes everything. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't follow legal precedent. It just exists, boldly, vulnerably, and impossibly. Asterisk, it also raises immediate questions in the judge's mind. Who is this woman? Why does she have that tattoo? Is she connected to the case in some way he never realized? Is this some kind of message? A cry for recognition? These thoughts cascade through his mind in seconds, overwhelming the clarity he's known in every previous trial. He's no longer just a judge. He's a man seeing the name of his lost daughter written permanently on a stranger's body, and that changes everything. Asterisk, for Elena, the tattoo is equally significant, though Judge Clark doesn't know that yet. It was her way of keeping a connection to a half-sister she never got to meet. When her mother told her the truth that she had an older half-sibling who died tragically, Elena was devastated. She felt an emotional pull to honor this girl she never knew but was somehow tied to by blood. Getting the tattoo wasn't just symbolic. It was an act of remembrance, of love, and of reclaiming part of her identity. She had been searching for information, for family, for closure. She didn't expect the judge to be her missing link. She didn't expect her quiet tribute to provoke such a strong reaction. Asterisk, the tattoo thus becomes the trigger for revelation. It's not spoken. It doesn't require dialogue or explanation in the moment. Its presence alone appends everything. It carries memory, grief, love, and unanswered questions in just a few lines of ink. And in the sterile, scripted environment of a courtroom, that kind of raw emotional force is almost alien. Asterisk, that's why the judge freezes. Not because he doesn't know what he's seeing, but because he knows exactly what he's seeing. It reaches into a part of himself he thought he had sealed off forever. Asterisk. The woman is not just any defendant. Her presence and the tattoo reveal a hidden connection that shifts the course of the case. Asterisk, Elena Morales entered the courtroom with a quiet, guarded presence. On paper, she was just another name in a long list of minor offenders charged with trespassing and property damage after being found inside a private residence she didn't own. Security footage confirmed her presence, and the police report stated she had no legal reason to be there. To most observers, the case seemed straightforward, and even the judge, Raymond Clark, expected it to be over quickly. But from the moment Elena stepped into the courtroom, something about her didn't quite align with the narrative in the file. Asterisk, she didn't behave like someone who was panicked or trying to lie her way out of trouble. Nor did she carry herself with defiance or fear. She seemed composed, but not cold, alert, but not aggressive. There was a subtle energy about her, as if she had walked into the courtroom for reasons far more personal than any police charge could explain. That energy became clear when she was asked to remove her jacket. What was revealed was not just a tattoo, but the key to understanding why she was really there. Asterisk, the tattoo a tribute to Lena Grace Clark. The judge's daughter wasn't something a stranger would get. It was intimate, specific, and personal. Seeing it immediately disrupted the flow of the trial. The judge, known for his control and composure, was visibly affected. But the real weight of that moment came from what the tattoo revealed. Alina wasn't just a trespasser. Her presence in that house, the same house once owned by the judge's family, wasn't a coincidence. Asterisk, Alina had been searching for something. After her mother's death a year earlier, she discovered documents and letters that hinted at a family secret, that she had a half-sister who died young, and a father who had never been part of her life. Her mother, ashamed of the past and afraid of the consequences, had kept the truth hidden. But in her final days, she left enough behind for Alina to uncover the identity of her sister Lena Grace Clark and, through that, the identity of the man who had fathered both girls, Judge Raymond Clark. Asterisk, Alina didn't come to the house to steal or vandalize. She came to understand. She had visited the address after discovering it listed in an old letter. It was once the Clark family home, long sold, but to Alina, it was sacred ground. She wanted to see where her sister had lived, to feel close to the memory of a girl she never got to meet. Her mistake was not knowing that the property was now privately owned by someone else. Her quiet visit was interpreted as trespassing, and a misunderstanding turned into a court case. Asterisk, what the court saw as a crime was, in fact, the desperate act of someone searching for identity, truth, and family. Alina's tattoo wasn't just a tribute, it was a signal, a silent request to be seen. Her appearance in court was never just about clearing her name. It was about confronting the man who, whether he knew it or not, was part of her story. She didn't expect sympathy. She didn't even know if he would believe her, but she needed him to know she existed. Asterisk, Judge Clark, upon seeing the tattoo and hearing the name, found himself forced into a reality he had never prepared for. His past, carefully compartmentalized, had just walked into his courtroom wearing a name he thought was buried in time. The law offered him a script to follow, rules, evidence, sentencing, but this moment was beyond the law. Alina wasn't just a defendant. She was blood. Her presence raised questions about choices made decades ago, about silence, guilt, and the consequences of turning away from the past. Asterisk, the connection between Alina and the judge reframed everything. Her so-called crime became a cry for belonging. Her silence in the courtroom wasn't defiance, it was restraint. She didn't try to manipulate the case or ask for mercy. She let the tattoo speak, and it did, loudly. The courtroom, usually a space for judgment and order, became a space of reckoning, not just legal, but emotional and familial. Asterisk, this hidden connection turned what would have been a routine sentencing into a turning point. For the judge, it was a confrontation with the life he left behind. For Alina, it was the first real moment of truth in her search. Their lives, once parallel and unaware of each other, were now forced to intersect. And in that intersection, both were stripped of their roles, judge and defendant, and left only as a father and a daughter who had never truly met. The case became irrelevant. The truth had spoken in ink, memory, and presence. Asterisk,